All right, this video covers Chapter 16 of Building Vocabulary Skills. If you want to follow along, you can open up to page 98. Let's take a look at the words here. I'll read them out and you can guess as to their parts of speech. So, consequence, destiny, detain, diminish, procrastinate, simultaneous, strategy, tedious, traction, vital. Okay, so here's the first one, consequence, and this one's a noun ending in ence. As a consequence of her heavy spending at the mall, Lily was short of cash until her next paycheck. Small children reach for hot things and sharp objects because they don't know the consequences of such actions. So consequence is the effect. And one of the things to notice about consequence is that it's followed by of. So consequence means the effect of something. So in the first example, it's the effect of heavy spending at the mall. If you spend a lot of money, right, then you're going to run out of money and be short of cash until you get your next paycheck. Children don't know the effects of touching hot things and sharp objects. On page 99, consequences number 4. And the word it uses is a result. Okay, so the consequence of, like, say drinking too much alcohol may be that you have a hangover, you have a headache in the morning. Hopefully the consequence of studying and doing your homework is that you get good grades. But consequences are often used for negative things. Rather than positive things. So consequences, parents will often talk about the consequences of misbehaving with their children. So a consequence tends to be, the result of doing something bad. So destiny, this is a noun. Believing in fate, the soldier wondered if his destiny was to die in the coming battle. Omar believes that he and Nadia were born for each other and that it was their destiny to meet. And destiny means your fate. Now you may not know what fate means, but in this case, on page 99, destiny is number 10, something bound to happen to someone, fate. So when we talk about destiny, it means something that you couldn't avoid happening in your life. That if we say that something was your destiny, it means that it was always written that this is what was going to happen to you. So in the first one, the soldier wondered if it was his destiny to die. Was it always going to be that he would die in this battle? In the second one, he's saying that Omar believes that Nadia was always supposed to be his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. But destiny has this meaning of something that was always true and is unavoidable and is going to happen to you no matter what you do. Detain. Detain is a verb. Paul's history teacher detained him after class to speak privately about his surprisingly low grade on the test. Detained at home by a friend in urgent need of advice, Gloria was late for work. So detain means to delay. On page 99, it's number 8, to delay, to keep from continuing. So one of the times that we sometimes use detain is with the police. If the police detain you, it doesn't mean that they put you in prison. They didn't arrest you and put you in jail and then you have to be there for a long time. But detain means that they're holding you for a certain period of time, that they're stopping you from continuing doing on what you were going to do. So this is different than putting someone in prison. That's like a long-term thing. Detain means that that you're holding someone, but it's not supposed to be for forever, whereas being in prison could be for forever. So in the first one, right, the Paul's history teacher detained him, right, meaning that he was going to leave, but the history teacher kept him from leaving. In the second one, um, Gloria was detained by a friend. So she wanted to come. She was on her way to work, but she was delayed by her friend who needed some advice. All right. So our next one here is diminish, and this is a verb. After mother yelled, "Turn that thing down!" the sound from the stereo diminished from a roar to a soft hum. I waited for my anger to diminish before discussing the problem with my boss. And so diminish to become less. On page 99, it's number 2, to lessen or decrease. So diminish means to become less in intensity rather than to become, well, it can also mean to become less in number. So in the first one, the sound diminished. It was really loud and then it became very soft. In the second one, the anger, it was really high and then it became lower. It became lower than what it was. So diminish means that this is something that is going down, becoming less in number or intensity. Procrastinate. Morgan procrastinated so long that when she finally returned the dress to the store, it was too late for a refund. I can't procrastinate any longer. I must study tonight because the final exam is tomorrow morning. What procrastinate means is to put off doing something. Um, on page 99, it's number 8. To put off doing something until later. All right. So all of us procrastinate. I assume. I know I certainly do. Procrastinate means that you wait until the last minute to do something. You avoid doing something until you absolutely have to, or sometimes you do it too late. So let me give you a couple examples from my own life. One thing that I'm really bad about is that I check out books from the library and I get emails saying they're going to be due in a day or two. And the only thing I need to do is get on my computer and renew them. But I always procrastinate about it. I don't like doing it, even though it's very simple. It just annoys me. And so I wait and I wait and I wait, and then I end up getting these fines from the library. The other thing that's similar is like with my car. You know how you have to get the sticker in the windshield? I always procrastinate until the very end of the month to go and get that renewed. And sometimes I've been late and gotten tickets because of that. Next one here is simultaneous, and this is an adjective. In a fair race, all starts must be simultaneous. Lightning and thunder don't seem to be simultaneous. We see the lightning before we hear the thunder. And simultaneous means happening at the same time. It's number 1 on page 99, happening or done at the same time. So when we talk about something that's simultaneous, it means that it begins and occurs in the same period of time. So in the first one, when you're racing, everybody should start at the same time. In the second one, lightning and thunder, they're happening at the same time, but because light travels faster than thunder, it always looks like the lightning comes before the thunder, but it's just the speed at which those things get to us. But simultaneous means things that are happening exactly at the same time. So next one here is strategy. The best strategy for teaching children manners is for adults to use good manners themselves. The general strategy was to surround the enemy troop during the night. Strategy is a plan. Now this word is similar to the word tactic that we've already studied, right? A tactic, we said, is a method for doing something. A strategy normally involves many different tactics. So the strategy is the whole plan to achieve some goal. On page 99 it says a method or an overall plan. So the strategy would involve multiple different tactics, doing a variety of different things. But again, a strategy is for a specific goal. So in sports, there's different strategies depending on different teams. Um, so some teams like Barcelona. If you watch football, not America, soccer, Barcelona, one of the strategies that they're well known for is ball control, in that they pass the ball back and forth very a lot, and they move the ball up the field that way. There's other teams where the strategy is more, maybe they have more long balls and crosses and stuff like that. There's some teams that have more of a defensive strategy where their goal is they defend really well and then they counterattack. But again, all of these strategies are designed in order to help you win, which is the goal of. So any strategy has a goal. Next one, tedious. And this is an adjective. Tedious chores like washing dishes are less boring if you do them while listening to music or talking with a friend. John found the homework assignment very tedious. The questions were dull and repetitious. Tedious means uninteresting. On page 99, it's number 7. It says boring, uninteresting because of great length, slowness, or repetition. Okay, so that's the important thing about something that's tedious. Yeah, it's boring, but the reason that it's boring is either it takes a long time, or that it involves repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again, um, or that the doing of it, and this is related to time, is very slow. Um, so um, certainly sometimes homework can be very tedious. I hope that you don't find the homework too tedious, meaning that I hope you don't find it too repetitious, just repeating the same thing again and again. Hopefully you feel that there's some variety in it. But I know that with the amount of work that you guys are required to do, it certainly can become tedious to have to do this. One of the things that I find super tedious is that, as a parent of kids in schools, they often get sent home forms. Now, I have 3 children, and they each get sent home the exact same form, and I have to fill it out 3 times, one for each child, even though the information is exactly the same except for the name of the child. So doing this for me is tedious because it's repetitive, it's not interesting, I don't get anything out of it. So I would consider that to be tedious. So transaction. This is a noun. Transactions at flea markets often involve bargaining. Among some business people, a transaction is concluded with a handshake. These business deals are never put in writing. A transaction means a business interaction. It's number 5 on page 99. A business deal or action, exchange of money, goods, or services. So that prefix means across. So a transaction means that there's an exchange from one person to another, and there's an exchange back that way. So in the first example, flea markets are like not like a supermarket, but would be like an outdoor market. You'll often see these on the weekend, where there's a variety of people selling a variety of different things. Now, when you go to the supermarket or when you go to the store, you're not, at least in the U.S., you can't, for the most part, you can't really bargain. But in these places, when you're buying something, you're allowed to bargain. So I say I want it for this much, and you say no for this much, and we come to some sort of agreement. So the transaction happens when I give you money and you give me whatever I've purchased. In the second one, we're saying a business transaction, like we just agree to do something and we shake hands. But really, the transaction means things moving from one place to another. I pay for something, you give me something, okay? Or I agree to do something and you agree to do something for me. But a transaction means that there's something going both ways. And here's our last word, vital. And this is an adjective. Water is vital to the survival of all living things. For example, people who stop drinking liquids will die in just a few days. For Teresa to pass her math course, it's vital that she pass the final exam. In this case, vital means essential. And I'm looking back to we had the word, we didn't have the word essential, but we had the word essence, which is related to essential. So when we talk about the essence of something, we're talking about the most important part of something, that without that part the thing wouldn't function anymore. So the same thing is true with vital. Vital means that this thing is so important that without it, the thing wouldn't function anymore. So in the first case, water is vital to the survival. So if you don't have the water, you're not going to live, right? In this second one, in order to pass the class, she had to pass the final exam. So it's very important that if you don't have the thing that's vital, you're not going to be able to survive. Okay. So let's take a look at the sentence check 1 on page 109. So the blank at the checkout counter was delayed by an incorrect price label. So what kind of thing happens at the checkout counter? What kind of thing would be going on there? The afternoon sunshine caused the snowman's height to blank from 6 feet to 3. So the height went down from 6 to 3 feet. Okay, so what does that mean, to go down? So the first one is transaction, right? The checkout counter, you give them money, they let you take your food or whatever it is you're selling. And then the sunlight made the height diminish, made it go down or decrease. Okay, next one. To blank is to follow the old saying, never do today what you can put off until tomorrow. So what does it mean, never do today what you can put off to tomorrow? Meaning that you're not doing things, you're waiting until tomorrow to do them. As a blank of his staying out late, Wilson wasn't allowed out for a week. So he stayed out too late. This was a problem. So as a result, he couldn't go out for a week. So which word means that, a result? The dancer's movements were meant to be blank, but when the ballerina leaped, her partner failed to move in time to catch her. So the dancer's movements were supposed to be happening at the same time, but they didn't. So what word means at the same time? So the first one here is procrastinate, right? Where you're putting off today what you can do tomorrow. Consequence, right? The result of his staying out late, right? This was a bad thing that he did, so he got a punishment. And the next one is simultaneous. These two things were supposed to happen at the same time. So here we go. Nikki's chess blank is to make her move so quickly that her opponent believes she's an expert. So the plan that she has for being successful at chess is to move things quickly. Ryan felt as if his wife's blank to die in the fire. Ryan felt it was his wife's blank to die in the fire. He refused to believe her death was meaningless. Right? So he said he felt like nobody could have changed. It was what was meant to happen to his wife. So the first one is strategy. This was her plan, and the second one is destiny. This was what was supposed to happen. That it had a meaning. To make raking leaves less blank, my sister and I took turns jumping into the newly created piles. Hey, girl. Sorry, that was my cat. Raking leaves can be a very boring thing. To make it less boring, they were jumping into the piles. If my science teacher didn't blank us every day, I wouldn't be late for my next class. So the science teacher is the class before. So what would the person have to do to make someone late? The secret agent paid for information he thought was blank to our national safety, but he had been tricked into buying useless information. Right? So he thought it was very important, but it turned out to be useless. So what's the word for very important? So the first one is tedious, right? Raking leaves can be very tedious and boring. It's repetitive, takes a long time. In the second one, the science teacher detaining them makes them late. And in the last one, the information he thought was super important was vitally important. Okay, so go ahead and finish the online activities, do your questions, and bring any additional questions that you have, and we'll go over those before the quiz. Take care. Bye.